All right, everybody, welcome to a slightly delayed live edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Guardians show, along with Zach Meisel. I'm Adam the Bull. And Zach, how did you celebrate your selection to the Media All Star team? I don't know. That didn't go well.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Ignore that.
I actually decided I'm gonna skip it. My fingers are a little sore. I've been typing too much, and I just wanted to spend some time with my family.
They announced that Paul Hoynes would be your replacement on the squad
Well,
representing.
no, he got the honorary legends.
Yeah. The
All-Star,
Kershaw
Clayton
spot.
Kershaw.
You
Yeah,
got the Kershaw
and he's
spot.
gonna be mic'd up.
That would be good. All right. Lot to get to today. Steven Kwan not playing, but the Guardians are winning. Trade deadline is 10 days away. We'll get to all of it on today's Ultimate Cleveland Guardian show. By the way, I like that. I don't know if it was yesterday you tweeted this out or Saturday. I can't remember now. But I like that Cliff Lee. What was the jersey number? I can't remember.
It was 65. He wore it in 2002 and 2003, which
Right.
was like the infancy of his big league career. So that's. I mean, I've been doing random jersey sightings. I was just telling someone this. I've been doing this for like a decade now, and at the end of every year, I compile a top 25 list. And at the end of every year, I think there's just we've exhausted every one. There's no way I'll see something new.
Right.
And every year I'm just blown away. And
I wonder what percentage of the people that have these random jerseys bought it for that reason, or they just randomly bought it and didn't realize it was an obscure one.
So here's the thing, because I think sometimes people try to discount this whole exercise, and because I have fun with it, and
I love it.
Not take it seriously here.
Yeah.
And by the way, I haven't been tweeting them out as much this year, but I have been collecting them, and we've got just juggernaut after juggernaut still.
Yeah.
And people will say, "Oh, like it's not that impressive. They sell these at the team shop." It's like, yeah, that's fine. You still have to make the decision to pay $100 for a Tomo Oka jersey, right? Like I give you credit if you're going to do that just for the bid.
That I agree. And Cliff Lee probably wore that number because he was, in spring training and he got stuck with a bad number. And then eventually he was like, you know what, I'll take a number I like.
Yeah. So what's crazy is someone, I couldn't tell the name on it, but I was from the press box looking down below. A lot of times during the anthem, I'll scan the crowd and see if I can find anything random. And I saw someone wearing 62. And I was like, who could that be? I can't read the name from here. And so I looked up who's worn 62 in team history. And you know who wore 62? Jose Ramirez when he first got called up.
Did he really?
I don't think it was a Jose Ramirez jersey or I don't know. But a lot of times you get called up and you just get whatever number that is unoccupied. You don't get a say in it. And then you get your feet wet in the majors and you come back for your first real full season. And that's when you always see like this guy switched to this number, and that becomes your permanent number. So but that makes it fun. Like,
you
got a Jose Ramirez 62 jersey. That's pretty random.
I bet most people didn't even remember that. Do you know how many games he played in 62?
No, I mean, he got called up that year in September. He was 20 years old and he was a pinch runner.
Yeah.
So I would imagine
that's funny.
20 games maybe.
All right. Good stuff. Let's get to the big topic that everybody's talking about. And it's not the trade deadline. It's not that the Guardians have won 3 series in a row. It's the Steven Kwan controversy. Steven Kwan has missed the first 3 games after the All Star break due to some wrist soreness. A lot of fans are angry at Steven Kwan.
Is it a lot, or is it just the whole social media is not the real world?
That's a fair point. I'll say there are some fans that are annoyed at Steven Kwan. I've seen some on my timeline. You're right. It's probably not a lot. I've seen one guy call him selfish. And my reaction to the whole thing, and before I get yours and give us the update on Kwan, is that this is completely ridiculous. I'm never, some people were critical of Jose for not playing and making the All-Star game, less important because we want to see the stars out there. I have no beef with Steven Kwan playing a couple of innings in an All-Star game. Yes, it's unfortunate that he's missed the games, but to kill him for that or call him selfish for that, I think is really stupid. There's got to be like something to this where maybe he didn't realize it was as bad. Maybe he tweaked it. Whatever. You'll clarify. Somebody called me a hypocrite for defending Steven Kwan because I kind of gave Jared Allen a hard time for playing in all 82 games this year. But to me, that's a huge difference. Playing a few innings in an All-Star game versus I got to play every game during the regular season is a huge difference. So I have zero beef with Steven Kwan, and I think it's ridiculous that anybody would get on him, one of the few quality players in this lineup. So what say you, and what's the latest?
So there are two hitters in this lineup who should be immune from, and no one's immune from criticism, but immune from like unnecessary piling on, right? So let's start with Jose Ramirez, because this was interesting to me. So Jose Ramirez on Friday was talking to Paul Hoynes and me and was saying he's getting absolutely crushed by the media in the Dominican Republic because he skipped the All-Star game.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And, Jose decided he was appreciative that he got elected. And I think the media down there, their reasoning was, we voted you in and you're just going to skip it. And that's kind of an insult. And Jose was telling us, he's like, look, they don't understand. Like, I've got, this hurts. I got hit here, rolled my ankle. And, remember he had a sprained wrist to start in Kansas City, and he's beat up. And he's also been there 7 times. And so he went home for a few days, took his private jet to the Dominican, learned he has a farm with 200 cows, and he sells milk and steak and whatever other side hustle make up for the $100 million he left on the table when he decided to sign an extension. And he enjoyed a few days of relaxation, right? And he felt he needed that. And he said, next year, if I am an all-star, I will, and I'm not nursing any injuries, I will gladly go play. I'll participate in the home run derby. He was talking about how if they ever go back to the 10 outs instead of the timed rounds, confident he'd win the home run derby. Because he feels like it's just the pace that you have to swing at that someone of his stature maybe tire quicker, and it's not the best format for him. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So think about that juxtaposed to Kwan's situation, right? So let's rewind. Kwan first injured his wrist in late May. It was against the Dodgers in Cleveland, trying to steal second base, and his hand kind of got caught under him and folded under, and his wrist got jammed. Okay. So he's nursing this and gets to the Houston series 2 weeks ago. And at that point, he felt like he was trending in the right direction and thought he was close to putting it behind him, because the pain has come and gone and it's ebbed and flowed. And some days it feels great. Some days it feels terrible. And then on a certain swing in Houston, he just felt it again and aggravated it. And that's when he knew, like, this is going to be something. And that's when the team agreed, like, over the All-Star break, let's just get you checked. Okay. It's important to remember. I said late May, he first suffered this, right? You could argue that for nearly 2 months, he played through this.
That's right.
That gets lost on people
Yes.
who are complaining that he doesn't care about the team or this or that.
Right,
he played through this. He could have gone on the injured list.
Yeah.
But he knew, and he won't say this, but I'll say it for him, this lineup could not afford to lose him or Jose Ramirez for an extended period.
Yeah.
So he played through it. Then the All-Star game comes about. And if you want to make the argument that he should have skipped it and gone and seen the doctor right away, I'll hear it. I don't think it would have made much or any difference. I think what would have happened is they would have given him Monday to relax, given him Monday for the wrist to recover and have a day off, since he just played a bunch of games in a row. And then he would have seen a doctor Tuesday and gotten the injection Tuesday. Instead, he got the injection Wednesday. I don't know that a day would have made much of a difference. I also know that I am some schmuck in Cleveland who has very few athletic bones in his body and will never be invited to play in an all-star game and spend a couple days around people better than me, right? I would love to pick the brains of the greatest sports writers and podcasters in America for 2 days and hope that something sticks that makes me better. So I struggle to criticize someone for wanting to go rub elbows with Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh and everybody else for 2 days, especially when the physical demand of being there was minimal. He didn't take batting practice. He didn't do any defensive drills or anything like that. And before the game, he told Stephen Vogt, who was on the coaching staff, and he told Aaron Boone, the AL manager, look, got this discomfort in my wrist. If you need like a late home run, if the American League needs an extra base hit, I'm probably not the guy to call upon. So the agreement was Riley Green was the starter in left field. If you notice, he got an extra at bat. The plan was most reserves got 2 at bats. Kwan was only going to get 1. They're down 6-0. Kwan comes into the game. It looks like the perfect scenario. Like, get your 1 at bat. Like, we don't need anything crazy from you. Right. And that'll be that. Play a couple innings on defense and we'll go home. And you'll go see the doctors and get taken care of. And then, of course, the American League storms back. And there's Kwan again, heart beating out of his chest, batting with the game on the line. Yeah. And in a situation no one could have expected, right? So I don't like it's not like he had to do anything physically demanding that was going to make it worse. Like, would he maybe have played Sunday against the A's? I don't know. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And I don't think we need to malign one of the 2 productive hitters in the lineup. And I also think that this is only a thing because I think we do this in Cleveland. We did it with Josh Naylor, where once it looked like he was on his way out and wasn't going to be destined for this roster for long, then everyone starts talking about his weight and talking about, well, like, look at his size compared to this year. And, you know, he struggled in the second half. And it's like, if you look at his overall numbers the last few years, that's a hitter you want on your team. And you don't need to disparage the guy just because they're probably going to trade him.
Hey, and we did it to some degree, especially after he got traded with Lindor.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. And so I think, I don't know why that exists. I think people are trying to connect some dots with Kwan that don't exist. People, I've heard over and over lately, he loves the West Coast. He just wants to leave Cleveland. He's got a foot out the door and he wants to go play on the West Coast. And look, maybe he does. He's from Northern California. Like, I can understand if there have been times in his life where he's dreamed of playing for the Giants and being in that stadium where he grew up, right? Like, that would be natural. I think Tanner Bybee had the same thoughts about the Dodgers, and look, he signed an extension. I think Shane Bieber had dreams of, when he was a kid, of pitching for the Angels. Who doesn't? Like, I was in my backyard emulating David Justice and Manny Ramirez with my stance. Like, if I became a major leaguer and I played for the Rockies, there would probably be like daydreams once in a while about playing for Cleveland at some point, right? But guess what? Bull, do you know where he lives during the offseason, Steven Kwan?
Here?
No, he doesn't live in Cleveland. He doesn't live in Fremont, California, where he's from. He lives in Chicago. Okay. He is perfectly capable of spending his off seasons and living in California. He lives in Chicago. So I think people are just trying to connect some dots that don't exist. And maybe in 2.5 years, he becomes a free agent and one of those California teams has money and gives him a contract. But there's a lot that has to play out before you get to that point, right? He's got to play better so that he can get the contract he's dreaming of or get the contract he thinks he deserves from the Guardians. And that's a long ways away. Like, who knows if he's going to be traded before then? Who knows if, like, it's possible that there's still a contract extension. Like, I wouldn't put out good odds on it, but like, you never know is what I'm saying. And so I think for some reason we just do this with athletes. And like, again, the guy played through this injury. He wanted to be in the lineup for more than a month and a half. So I just think it's wasted energy. It's wasted energy for me to rant about it probably for this long, but it's wasted energy for fans to get mad. Get mad at Jonathan Rodriguez. Get mad at Will Wilson. Get mad at the front office for putting this lineup around Kwan and Ramirez. I don't think.
Get mad at the owner.
Yeah, I just don't think this is worth anybody's energy.
It was a great rant. I'm glad you did it. It really put Steven Kwan appropriately in a great light. I mean, listen, this guy, and obviously you know him way, way better than I do, but I've interviewed him a few times. He's great. I love talking to him. Again, I don't really know him, but he seems like a great guy.
He's a normal dude.
Right? Like he comes off as just an average Joe, which you gotta love. If the Guardians don't sign him, it's probably because the front office won't spend the money. And the thing is, Steven Kwan, because he's not a power hitter, he's not getting some crazy big contract wherever he goes. So the Guardians can afford to pay him. What that right number is, who knows what that is. But like you said, if he was so obsessed with Northern California, he wouldn't be living in Chicago. It's not, Chicago's a nice city, but you certainly don't want to be there in the winter. And to me, if the Guardians make a good offer to Steven Kwan, like a legitimate offer, there's no reason why he wouldn't sign it. He knows all the players here. He's probably very comfortable. He's come up in the organization. Why wouldn't he want to stay? I had a Guardians player once. I can't even remember. You and I have probably talked about this off the air. If I haven't, for whatever reason, I'll tell you later. But there was a player when Dustin and I went to spring training one year, the first few years, I think 12, 13, 14, they actually paid for us to go down there, the Indians at the time, believe it or not. And I remember talking to a player, and I'm not going to say who it is. And the player told me, he's like, yeah, I hate playing in Cleveland. Did I tell you this?
No, but I can guess with pretty good confidence. I know who it is.
But this guy was very popular player, great guy. And he stayed here for most of his career, and you wouldn't have known it. It doesn't matter. Like, even if the players don't like Cleveland or don't like playing it, whatever the thing is, it doesn't matter. There's still Steven Kwan. You would know better than me, but I just, if they made him an offer that he thought was fair, he would sign it. I'm certain of that.
I think so too. So I think it's a little nuanced because he, on one hand, we talked a lot about his All-Star experience, he and I, over the weekend, because he went for the first. He's with Jose, like, he's been there so many times that there's not going to be any surprises. And at this point in Jose's career, I don't think there's anybody who he's like, oh man, I really want to meet this guy.
Sure,
He's met everybody, and people want to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
With Kwan, he told himself last year, like, this might be your only All-Star experience. You need to soak it in.
Yeah.
And he admitted to me, we sat down in the spring and talked about it, and he said, I really struggled to do that. It was just such a whirlwind, and I felt like I didn't belong. Like, he's got major imposter syndrome. And again, like, he's a regular dude. He's like a inner pessimist. Like, he's got a lot of self-doubt, which on one hand, he says fuels him. Like, it allows him to not be complacent, to not feel like he's some bigger than life superstar, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of fans are like, this guy feels like he's like too good for Cleveland. He's out, and like, that could not be further from the truth.
Exactly.
And so he goes back this year, and like, you'd think like you're more comfortable, like you're a returning All-Star. And he said, no, it's the same thing. He's like, I'm looking at these players and they're huge. Like, look at Aaron Judge's stats. Look at Cal Raleigh, 38 home runs. Look at all these guys. And he's like, am I supposed to be here? Julio Rodriguez was named an All-Star and his numbers are not good.
No. Yeah.
And Kwan was like, my numbers aren't that different than his. Like, there are probably people who were snubbed who deserve to be here more than I do. So you hear that and you're like, well, this guy would sign for whatever he deems is fair, right? Like, he's not going to hold out for some mega extension when he clearly has an objective view of his value, maybe even subjective in the negative way of his value.
Sure.
With that imposter syndrome. The one thing maybe preventing that is he's also a union rep, and like,
that's true.
A lot of times the veterans in those positions are the ones who, like, everybody else is looking to you to hold out for the right deal or to hit free agency. You've got the whole CBA is expiring after next season, and he'll have one more year of control after that. So there's a lot of the timing of it makes it tricky.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is some guy who's just like, with Lindor, there were times when he said stuff that you're like, all right, he's playing to the crowd here. He's trying to get the audience. It felt
Right.
like he and the organization were like posturing to look like the right side of those
Right.
negotiations for years before he was ever traded, where he'd be like, yeah, if they give me a fair offer, I'll sign. I love Cleveland. And the front office is like, well, we're doing everything we can to try to sign him.
Right. Yeah.
And then at some points, Lindor was like, I think we asked him like, well, what's fair? And he's like, oh, like 500 million or something. It's like, okay, well, you're not getting that here. And then they trade him, and then you hear the leaks of like, well, we offered him north of 200 million, and
Yeah. Right.
it's like, okay, we'll spend that somewhere else then. And
Yeah.
like, so it's, I don't think you get that with Kwan. I really think he's a down to earth dude, and I just think any vitriol you have, there are so many other places to
Crazy.
apply it, and I wouldn't waste your time doing it with him.
Well said. All right.
So they won 2 or 3, and he wouldn't have made any difference in any of those 3 games. The game they lost, they had a couple of hits and they lost by 6.
That's true. All right, let's just read some comments from fans on this subject, and then we'll move on to some other things. Let's see.
Your dog's pretty outspoken on it, huh?
Yeah, my dog's fired up because we got baby bunnies in the backyard, so he's looking to get at him. Stephen Allen Spencer says Jose is immune in my book. Sven Reek says it makes sense because in that period, Kwan was pretty hard at the plate when they lost 10 in a row. John says, what does the winner of the All Star game get now? Nothing. That is now gone.
Pride.
Yeah, right.
But you can tell it was interesting, and Kwan said this a little bit.
Yeah.
Guys care more than I think we realize. Yeah.
That was a great comeback by the American League.
He was saying like he was very nervous about being the last out.
Yeah.
And badly didn't want to like let people down. And then, if you're the last out, you're that highlight on every show. Where,
it
matters, I guess.
Yep. The $400 million Jet says, I'm mad at the owner, especially the arbitrary $100 million payroll that never raises. Nathan says, one thing I want for Christmas is the cheap-ass Dolans to sell the team to someone who will spend money to put a perennial contender on the field and bring a World Series title to Cleveland. John says, Cleveland didn't even offer Kwan yet. Is that true? Do we know that? I don't know that. Is that
they've talked the last couple springs, but I don't think there's anything worth reporting.
And Nathan says the Dolan family are the biggest impediments to our beloved Cleveland Indians / Guardians from having success. All right, folks, we're going to move on to what the Guardians did on the field. But before we do that, let me talk to you about Epicor. Everything is easier with Epicor, without a doubt. And if you're a part of a team, you know the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. We've seen that. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need. From aerospace to electrical to medical devices, Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. All right, Guardians do take 2 out of 3. I want to say Oakland. My dog is going nuts. I'm going to go close the door. Zach, why don't you give some thoughts there on the 2 out of 3 against the A's?
So you got the A's. Now you've got 4 with the Orioles. You've got 3 in Kansas City, and you've got 3 against the Rockies. So if you're going to make a compelling sales pitch to the front office that they shouldn't sell, that they should stand pat, or that they should even add some people, this is the chance to do it. And I think they're going to get the opportunity to prove that, because I think the front office wants to see how they perform over the next 10 days. But more than anything, if you look at the American League Bowl, and I know you can't even hear me right now.
I can't.
Okay. The Guardians are 48-50.
Yep.
The Twins are 48-51.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals are 48-52. The Rangers are 50-50. The Angels are 49-50. Tampa's 52-48. You've got your 3 division leaders, you've got your 3 wild card teams, and then there's 6 teams after that have to decide, are you in the race? Is it worth scratching and clawing trying to get one of those wild card spots? And so it's not even just what do the Guardians feel like they want to do, but what are all those other teams around them going to do? Are all those other teams, like, it looks like the Royals are probably gonna, like, they've got some tough decisions. They might need to trade Seth Lugo, for instance. I never know what the Angels are gonna do. The Rangers, I feel like they're not gonna sell. They're either gonna stand pat and maybe buy a little bit.
The Rangers,
so you just have to,
I think the Rangers are gonna go for it.
Yeah, you just have to figure out, like, how many of those teams are actually still gonna be a threat down the stretch. And then, if the answer is only like 2, okay, well, then you have less competition, right? So then is it worth standing pat? Is it worth trying to add something? I don't know. This is going to go down to the wire here. This was a good start. I still have the same questions that I've had for months. Like, how I don't believe that this is a playoff caliber lineup. I don't think that's crazy to say. I also don't know that this lineup is going to look any different on like September 15th. Especially with Chase DeLauder now going to see a hand specialist, especially with Juan Brito's season in doubt. So I don't know. Like, it was funny. Like, the All Star break ended. It's the first game of the second half, and there's almost this sense of like, all right, it's go time. Like, let's see. Like, this is the race to. You knew there were 2 weeks until the trade deadline. Like, they're coming off a good week. Like, this is the time to really turn it on. And I get the lineup for Friday, and it's like, all right, Jonathan Rodriguez 6th, Will Wilson 7th, and it's just like, all right, it's more of the same.
Yeah. To me, clearly they're making no effort to put their best foot forward, because that would include and to I guess be a little fair to the front office. It's been a weird season. It's been a bad season, frankly, for rookies. Most of these top rookie prospects that have come up outside of Jacob Mizorowski for the Brewers, and you want to say Jacob Wilson with the A's,
Kurtz.
Yeah, but most of the guys that have come up have struggled. Okay? Now, that being said, the Guardians continue to cycle through these 4A players instead of giving any of these guys a chance. And it feels like somewhere that the front office is like, see, we told you about the Lauder. That's why we didn't bring him up. Which is ridiculous, obviously, because you don't want your best players to get hurt. But like, we've heard about him for so long. We heard about Valera forever. Now he's completely off.
So Lauder getting hurt in AAA was the worst case scenario.
Oh my!
At least let him get hurt in the major leagues.
Exactly. And by the way, so they have to trade or cut. I don't even care. Santana needs to be gone. What is the point of keeping him? Even if you're not selling, what is moving on from Santana making the team any worse?
No, and I think you need to look at 2026 as much, or if not more, than you're looking at 2025 here over the next 2+ months. And I think parting with Santana and calling up CJ Kayfis, I don't think it makes you worse in 2025, and I think it helps you for 2026 because at least he gets, like Manzardo needed that first trial run last year, and this is what let Kayfis get that out of the way.
And again, speaking of Manzardo, why is he consistently sitting against lefties? I don't understand.
David Fry, because they don't want to give Santana days off for some reason, and David Fry DHs. Yeah,
man, between the dog and the phone.
You're on fire today, man. Why don't you set off your smoke alarm?
God, what is this? Oh, I don't know why I have that on my computer. You'd think I'd be more computer savvy. It's just crazy. I can't understand it. I can't understand. Kyle Manzardo is clearly their third best offensive player. I don't even think is there even a debate?
No. Who else would be in the running?
I don't know.
I mean, Nolan Jones. Nolan Jones started both games against lefties, and Kyle
Yeah.
Manzardo did not, which makes no sense to me.
It's just insane. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? They barely ever let him play first base. So okay, so it's everything is head scratching that they do. So clearly they're not going for anything. Clearly they're not going to buy any players, and they shouldn't, frankly, or nothing that would be a short term, move. They want to make a move for long term buy, then that's fine. But yeah, listen, I think Santana's going to be gone, and I get rid. Certainly, anybody else that's a free agent at the end of the year, you might as well move on from. Uh, I of course would listen to offers for Emmanuel Clase, but they're not going to be desperate. There's no reason to be desperate unless they get blown away for him. I wouldn't trade him. But if Santana's on this team in 10 days, I'm going to lose my shit. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I don't know. The intel I've gathered to this point is, first of all, they're doing their homework on everything so that in 8 or 9 days, then they can pick a lane.
Mm-hmm.
But they're probably not going to pick a lane before then because they do have this soft part of the schedule, and
Yeah,
maybe they create some separation between them and those other teams caught in the middle, right? But you're not getting anything for Santana, Junis.
no,
Paul Sewald is going to be out a while now.
no.
Lane Thomas is still he's not even rehabbing yet from his latest injury. So I don't think you're getting much for your impending free agents. And so the one thing, I mean, there are some teams really trying to get Kwan that I don't think the Guardians are going to bite on that at this point. And then it's the relievers. I think teams are interested in Clase and Cade Smith. I'm curious to see if Hunter Gaddis is part of this equation too. And if you look at the contenders, the Mets, the Phillies, the Dodgers, those teams, they're all lining up. They all have interest in Clase and Cade Smith, especially. So, and it's not limited to those teams by any means either. So it just becomes like, if you're the Guardians, you sit there and you say, okay, what will you offer? And you spark a bidding war that you don't necessarily have any intention of actually finishing, but you have to do the homework now and just see what people are willing to part with and how desperate they are. And look, if you keep this up for another 10 days, then you probably just don't do anything. But if you lose 3 or 4 to the Orioles, then maybe you start to think about what you have to do and how your team can be better in 2026 instead of trying to salvage something out of 2025.
Yeah, I think that's the right move. I think if they got blown away for Kwan, for Clase,
Mm-hmm.
they would do it no matter what they do in the next 10 days.
Yeah. I guess it would depend on what blown away means, really, because odds are that trade will still exist over the winter. And
all right.
I think it's hard for me to see a scenario where they're adding, right? There have been times in the past, like 2021. Remember they dumped Eddie Rosario, Cesar Hernandez, Jordan Luplow. I think we talked about this, and they tried to get Brian Reynolds. They tried to get was it Jesse Winker? There's someone else, and they settled for Miles Straw. It's like we've seen them buy and sell at the same time.
Right.
I just don't know. Anyone that they would try to buy, you're probably going to get outbid by an actual legitimate contender.
Yes.
So I think that makes it tough. The selling part of it, it depends what you get back in terms of are you getting back major league ready hitters? Are you getting back some 20-year-olds? I think that factors into this too.
Do you think one guy I'm just thinking about, and this might be an off-season move for the Guardians, and they were interested in Sean Murphy in the past. He's making 15 million a year for the next 3 years, and then there's a team option that fourth year. So that's not crazy money. And the Braves are probably looking to move off Murphy because they got Drake Baldwin, who's played really well. He'd really and he's in decline a little bit, so I'm a little nervous about it.
Decline how?
Um,
Looks great offensively. I haven't seen his defensive stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to turn 31 in October. So
yeah,
there's certainly.
No, you're right. I don't know what am I talking about. No, he's not. Maybe
I only challenge you because
No, you should have challenged me because I was wrong.
I thought he was a great target a few years ago. I still think he is. I think
I'll be honest. I think I just assumed he was not playing as well, and I hadn't really looked at it because he wasn't playing quite as much.
I actually think
I'm wrong.
I actually think the Braves are an interesting match here, and when I say that, like, if you get creative, you could still buy even if you sell or stand pat.
Yeah.
Because the Braves are in a weird spot, right? Like, there's a lot of rumblings that they want to move Ozzie Albies, their second baseman, who's having a miserable season. But, like, that's a really intriguing buy low candidate to me. And you don't have an answer at second base until Travis Bazzana is ready. And I don't know when Travis Bazzana is going to be ready. And Albies is under team control through 2027. And it's at $7 million a year. That's the dream for the Guardians, is it not? This is a guy who's been a pretty productive. He's been an above average hitter throughout his career, really until this year. So that would be interesting. Michael Harris, their center fielder, is having a dreadful season at the plate, but he was really good his first 2 years. He was about league average last year. He's another dude he's under team control through 2032.
The Braves get all these guys on the cheap. I don't know how they do it.
So
what do you think? So like any Murphy and Albies or Murphy,
So the question is, what do you have to give up? Because it's a buy low candidate, but with the contracts in place, like, those are guys that are still going to have value, and the Braves aren't just going to dump dudes because they're having a down year. Murphy's different because they have a rookie catcher who's been really good. But I'd inquire about all three of those guys, honestly, and see what you can do, because that's the type of move where, like, if you're the Dodgers and you need an outfielder, you're probably, like, Michael Harris isn't going to be your top target because you need someone now.
Yes.
But maybe a team like the Guardians that's looking like maybe a little more toward the future than the present, like, that could be an interesting candidate.
And the Braves, could that be a situation where you trade where, their bullpen, they need a closer? Like, do you trade Clase? Like, you have this blockbuster deal where it's like Clase and some minor leaguers for Sean Murphy, either Albies or who were we just talking about? The outfielder.
Harris.
Michael Harris. Something really big like that. Well, the Braves need the bullpen help for the future. The Guardians need the hitting help for the future. And maybe both teams get helped, in that situation.
Yeah, it's tough to, like, I don't know what the Braves are looking to do here with those guys either.
I don't think the Braves, they're looking to contend next year. Same as the Guardians.
So finding the right match is probably tricky.
Yeah.
Murphy might be a different case, though, just because they don't need him. They don't need to replace him at catcher. So, I don't know. I just think that's a team I would definitely have conversations with.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what they do here at the deadline. All right. Let's see some of the comments from the fans. $400 million jet. Guards got to get a bat, or are they going to be big dumpers? We just talked about that. Luke said Gavin pitched a gem yesterday. Yes, he did. Listen, overall, the rotation has done their part. The rotation's been good. The pitching's been good, just, overall. It's just, and the lineup obviously has been better lately, which is why they've won some games. But I don't think anybody's got faith in this lineup. There's just not enough hitting. They can't. And the frustrating part is that there's in my mind, even the Tigers and the Blue Jays, who have the two best records in the American League, or the Astros, those teams are good. They're not that good. None of these teams are that good in the
No,
American
the
League.
American League is
Yeah.
so wide open. I mean, the
Yeah.
Tigers have been playing their worst baseball,
Yeah. The
and the
Astros
Blue
have like
Jays have
20
caught
guys on
fire.
the injured list. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, but that's even we were saying, at the
yeah.
beginning of the year, I remember in spring training saying, like, there's no, like, really great teams in the
Yeah.
American League, which makes it more frustrating
Yes.
that you just sat on your hands over the winter.
Especially when you have this rotation. Like what could have been, right? Let's say Bieber comes back in August and he's great. The way Saucony's pitched, your rotation in the playoffs. I mean, Bieber, Bybee, Saucony, and Williams. I mean, it could have been really good in the playoffs, but let's see. Yeah, JG from space. Our pitching is what's keeping us somewhat competitive. That is correct. My 2 cents. How long does it take to investigate whether Ortiz bet on baseball? Yeah, they pushed. So he's suspended now through at least the end of August, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have you heard anything else on that?
No, and you won't.
Yeah.
I don't see a scenario where he pitches again this season. I'm waiting to hear a. Want to be careful with how I put this. Can someone present to me a scenario where he's not banned from baseball, or a scenario where he's innocent? I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, I can't see that at all.
Do you think he'll ever pitch again for Cleveland or in the
No.
major leagues?
No, I think he's done. I don't see how they could see that anywhere else.
I don't think it's a coincidence. The Guardians were caught off guard and kind of panicked when they learned the news, because it was brought to their attention the night before he was supposed to start at Wrigley
Yeah.
at the beginning of the month. And as I'm looking through this, you notice the two pitches that publicly are in question
Yeah.
so far were from two of his most three recent starts. And so what that tells me is they felt like they could not let that guy take the mound again. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the St. Louis start at the end of
Yeah.
June, there was at least one pitch in question there. And then they waited until the last possible minute they could to pull the plug on it,
Yeah.
because they felt like he can't take the mound against the Cubs.
What could he possibly have been
Right.
thinking, man? I just
So
throw away your whole career. Just unbelievable. My 2 cents sent a series of tweets. He's angry at me. He says I sound silly because they've won 8 of 10, and I'm saying they're not trying to win. The organization's first priority is not winning. It's that simple. The owner's first priority is not winning. Pretty simple. I'm glad they won 8 of 10. That Astro series was excellent. They're playing better baseball. I don't believe it's going to hold up.
yeah, I mean, I think this is just a team. They kind of are what they are, aren't they? They're 48 and 50. They've been they've been a mediocre team this year. There have been stretches where they've looked pretty good, and I think the reason they've had those stretches is usually because of their starting pitching. And they've had a lot of stretches where they've looked miserable, and usually it's because they can't hit.
Right. Haslam's a criminal, says my 2 cents, has no clue. Yeah, well, he's terrible too. They're terrible for different reasons. Jimmy Haslam's a terrible owner, and Dolan's a terrible owner for different reasons. Haslam spends. Everything else he does is terrible.
Training camp this week. Let's go, Bull.
Yeah. Veterans report tomorrow.
We got 4 quarterbacks to talk about.
I know.
Sure, one will get a lot more conversation than the other 3
I don't know
combined.
if any of them are any good, but do you want to talk about the nonsense from Trump, or I mean, he said, look here, folks, look here.
They're not changing.
We're changing military bases back to Confederate soldiers. I love when they do that. The excuse is always, it's part of history. So we have to honor history of traitors. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. But
I don't know, when they became a team as the charter member of the American League in 1901, they were the Cleveland Bluebirds, and then the Broncos, and then the Naps. Like they've been a lot of things.
Yeah. By the way,
And they're not.
They're not changing back. This is just silly. It's nonsense. We did, by the way, for our fall baseball league that I'm the president of, we named some of our teams are named like we have the Cleveland Spiders, we have the Spiders, we have the Blues. We don't have the Guardians or the Indians. But
What did you want when you knew they were changing the name? Did you have a favorite?
I can't remember at the time. I don't think so. I didn't like Guardians at first, but it's grown on me. It's grown on me. It's fine. They rushed the logo.
Yeah. They need to get
And they
rid
should
of that
probably
thing.
change the logo, but
I like the Guardian though, the City Connect.
yeah,
And they're using that more and more, and that's not
it's better. Fans like that better.
not a coincidence.
Yeah.
I wanted like something weird, like walleye or something strange. I don't know.
Yeah, that would've
Or
been
the lake effects or like the something weird. I don't know.
Well, John Stewart's doing not John Stewart. What's his
John Oliver?
John Oliver, right. Is doing
Mhm.
this thing with the Erie Seawolves. They changed their name to the
Moon mammoths or whatever.
something like that. Bobby says, I hate the Guardians. Spiders actually sounds better. But the Spiders were not a precursor for the Indians/Guardians. They were a different team.
So they were, yeah, and I when we were doing a story on The Athletic last year about when the White Sox were about to set the record for the most losses, and we were looking at the worst teams in sports history, and the Spiders ranked number 1.
Right.
And it was because the owners of that team were just trading all the good players to their team in St. Louis. And so you were just left with these slappies who couldn't play, and they went like 20 and 134. So like as the now Guardians were trying to figure out like, all right, what do we want to go with here? Part of the thing that they couldn't get over was if they go Spiders, they're going to be associated with just a team that's known for being embarrassingly bad.
Why would you want to do that? We got some other things. John says the Cyclones. That does nothing for me. That feels like a little league team name.
Well, we don't get those here. You got to go with the climate.
Yeah,
right?
I know. $400 million jet. Rename the team the Epstein Files.
We're off the rails here.
Yeah. Clink Tattoos. I love the Guardians name. It's grown on me. Yes, I agree with that. It has grown on me too. John says Cleveland Midge Farmers, the midges. Could have Jabba Chamberlain's picture as the logo.
There you go. See, wouldn't that be fun? Like minor league teams do that all the time where you like switch for a night to something bizarre. Yeah. They should do that. That would be fun.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for now. Zach, good stuff as always. We may do a special show next week. We got to figure something out. We'll talk about next week, obviously, if there's a trade. Until then, thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We'll talk to you next time on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show. Trump is